coefficients. And y'all, this means we get to say bye-bye to transformations. We are done with transformations. Is that blurry? Oh, that would be helpful, right, Rihanna? Cool. That better? All right, and just as a quick refresh, rational numbers are numbers that can be written as a fraction. Numbers that can be written as a fraction. All right, so remember when you solve equations, you need to remember your inverse operations. So, for example, addition, the inverse is subtraction, and the inverse of subtraction is addition. Right? So if you have something and you want to undo it, you need to do the opposite. And the opposite of multiplication is division. We also have the inverse of like exponents is like square roots and things like that, and we are going to get to that later in the year, but just keep in mind that there are more inverses than just these sets right here. But for now, that's all we're going to look at. Okay? So we're going to start and just remind ourselves how to solve an equation. So let's say we have 4 plus 3 times 6 minus x equals, let's do 24. Okay. When we solve our equations, the first thing I always want you to do is draw a wall. Okay, and what I mean by that is put a line down your equal sign so you remember that whatever you do on one side, you have to do to the other. Equations have to stay balanced, okay? We have to keep them stable. Second step, you take care of parentheses. Which is typically distribution. Why does this look so blurry today? Sorry, y'all. Okay. So in this case, I have a positive 3 that I am distributing right here. I'm not doing anything with the 4 yet, so I'm just going to bring it straight down. And then I have 3 times 6 is 18. And I have 3 times negative x is negative 3x. And that whole thing equals 24. All right. Third step, combine like terms. So in this case, remember like terms have to have the same variable attached to them. So in this case right here, it's either no variable or an x. These guys both have no variable, so I just need to combine them. Reading left to right, 4 plus 18, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I get 22 minus 3x equals 24. Step 4, undo addition and subtraction. So in this case, when you're undoing addition and subtraction, it's your terms that do not have variables on them, okay? So right here, I want to take care of this 22. That is a positive 22, so I need to use the inverse operation, which is subtraction, and subtract 22 from both sides. And I'm left with negative 3x is equal to 2. And then step 5, undo multiplication and division. In this case, I have a negative 3x equals 2, so I need to divide by negative 3. And my answer is a fraction, and that's fine. Leave your answer as a fraction. Don't try and do a decimal or anything like that. Right here, our answer is just x equals negative 2/3. All right, what I want you guys to do once you get this copied down in the chat box, just drop a scale of 1 to 5 of how familiar you are with equations. Like doing that, how did it feel? 1 to 5. 1 being like bleh, 5 being woohoo. Cool. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That is exactly what I want to see. I see lots of 4s and 5s. I even saw a 7, so that's stellar. Great. Okay, so let's take it a step further and let's look at something you may or may not have seen last year. If you did, sweet, today's going to be easy. If not, then we got some new stuff to do. So let's say that you have the equation. Hold on, all this dot cam is driving me nuts today. Okay. Let's say we have 2/5 x plus 4 equals 3/10. 2/5 x plus 4 equals 3/10. many of you hate fractions? Right? You see fractions and you're just like, okay. We can make life easy and we can get rid of fractions, okay? So when you have equations, the very first step, you always draw your wall and you always have to take care of parentheses, okay? So I always draw my wall. In this case, I don't have any parentheses. So once you've drawn your wall and you've taken care of parentheses, there's an option. If I hate fractions and fractions make me make mistakes, I can eliminate those fractions by multiplying everything by a common denominator. So in this case, I have a 2/5. 4 doesn't have a denominator, so I can put it over 1, and a 3/10. What is the common denominator between 5 and 10? Common denominator, remember, is least common multiple. Beautiful. 10 is my common denominator. So that means I want to multiply every single thing by 10 over 1. Okay? So remember, when you multiply fractions, you just multiply straight across. So 10 times 2 is 20. 1 times 5 is 5. And I still have the x. And 10 times 4 is 40. 1 times 1 is 1. And then 10 times 3 is 30. 1 times 10 is 10. Okay, you might be saying like, well, I still have fractions, so that was stupid. But we're not quite done yet. You can get to the point where you do this all in one step, but I'm showing you just like super deliberately what we did. So right here, 20 divided by 5, that makes this 4x. 40 over 1 is just 40. And 30 over 10 is 3. So now the equation is really 4x plus 40 equals 3. And because we did the same thing to both sides of the equation did not change at all. It is still completely balanced. And then this is an equation that's just a little bit easier to solve. Okay, so after I take care of that, I just follow my steps like normal. There's no like terms to combine, so I'm going to undo addition and subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 40. And I'm left with 4x equals negative 37. And then I'm going to divide by 4. And I just have x equals negative 37 over 4. And you can leave your answer like that. That is a simplified answer. Improper fractions are your friend. I know in 6th and 7th grade you didn't like improper fractions. Now in 8th grade you can leave them as improper fractions. And it's easier if you do it that way. Okay, let's look at another. our first two steps always stand no matter what. Draw your wall and distribute. All right, so no matter what, even if there's fractions in there, we always start with distributing. Okay, so right here, I'm not doing anything with this 3/4 yet, so I'm just going to bring it down. And then I have negative 1/2 times 5x. I can put these things over 1. Sorry, my dog is coughing. And I get negative 5 over 2x and negative 1/2 equals 3. Okay, remember you can put this 3 over 1 if you want, if that helps you. Not necessary, but if it helps. What is our common denominator here between 4, 2, and 1? Good, Skylar. 4, right? Common denominator is 4. So in this case, I'm going to multiply everything by 4, or 4 over 1. So 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 4 is 4. Don't forget the x. 4 times 5 is 20. 1 times 2 is 2. Don't forget the x. Minus 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. Equals 12 over 1. All the dogs being really loud, I'm sorry. Okay, from here we just simplified. 12 divided by 4 is 3x. 20 divided by 2 is 10x. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 12 divided by 1 is 12. Then we combine our like terms. 3x minus 10x is negative 7x. Minus 2 equals 12. I add 2 to both sides. I'm left with negative 7x equals 14. Divide by negative 7. And x is equal to negative 2. Now, if you can do this without writing this step down, like if you go straight from step 1 to step 3, that is completely fine, right? Some of you might be able to do that multiplication and simplification in your head. Totally fine. I'm writing that step so I don't lose anyone along the way. Ellis, you look so sleepy this morning. Should we try one more? I'll write it down and you guys try it. And then I'll go over it. You guys try this one. Can you get it? If you want to drop your answer in the chat box, you can. I'm also going to go over it when you're done. Alrighty, let's see what we got. So, first things first, you draw your wall and you distribute. You always have to do those steps first. Okay, so after I distributed, I got that 2/3 equals 6 plus 7/3 x plus 2/3. Leaving improper fractions is good, okay? So my common denominator here is 3, and I actually just skipped the step where I showed the multiplication because 3 times 2 is 6, divided by 3 is 2. When your denominator is the same as your multiplier, it leaves you with just the number that you have left. So I have 2 equals 18 plus 7x plus 2. Then I combined like terms, and I got 20 plus 7x. Then I have to take care of that 20. It's positive, so I subtract 20. And then I divide by 7, so I get x equals negative 18 over 7.